Zoink, Scoob! All you can eat!
Guys, get off the buffet. We're rolling here.
Row, row.
All right. All right, got Mayor Player. All right, we all good? All right, guys, it's gonna be one take 19. You guys ready? All right, get the mustard off your face. Right, ready? And action. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of One Take. As usual, we have another good one for you. You guys know how this works. So today we are going to be talking about what do we think are some of the best performances for an existing character. So, what we mean by that is, for example, whether that character is from a comic or a physical book or even just a real person. So, just to give an example of which I did not choose, so like Heath Ledger as the Joker. The Joker is, of course, from the DC Comics, and multiple of many people have portrayed the Joker. But if we were to give the best example, I would think it'd be Heath Ledger. So that's just an example of what this video is going to be about. So, yeah, without any further ado, Dave, if you want to start things off, feel free.
I will do that with pleasure. Thank you, John. And I'm going to start with, I think, one of the biggest slam dunks. I think it's a very cold take. I think
Mm,
basically everyone agrees with this, and I'm going to jump right on it and just get it out of the way because it is one of the best casting of an existing character of all time. It's one of the best castings, period, of all time. And that is going
sure.
to be J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson in
Mm,
the original Spider-Man trilogy, and then
sure.
further reprised, not nearly as well in the MCU, but
Right.
nevertheless, just perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's a role that he almost seems to have been made for, despite the fact that he's also J.K. Simmons is just a fantastic actor. He can do so much.
Right.
He has an incredible amount of range, but this character especially, it just seems
Mm-hmm.
like he nailed every single
He
mannerism,
was
every
definitely
single
made
line
for it.
delivery.
Yeah.
They they literally started incorporating him even more after the first movie just because of how good he was. He's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be more of a side character. He's just a small kind of antagonistic sort of figure, obviously not like a pure villain, but just
Mm,
running the Daily Bugle, kind of giving Peter Parker a hard time with the job and everything, and kind of just being a general kind of
right.
a-hole in the office. Um,
Mm,
but kind of a lovable one to an extent because there he does still have
yeah.
his moments where he kind of backs up Peter Parker, doesn't reveal that he knows Spider-Man and that he's the one who takes his
Respect.
photos.
Yeah.
So there's a cool moment like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, every single scene with him is just comedy gold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there have been any other comic relief performances in superhero movies, comic book movies, or just movies in general that can measure up to
Mm.
J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson.
Fair enough. All right. So I guess if we're going to stay in a superhero realm, I was going to start with someone different, but since we're in that realm, I'm going to say Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. Um, yeah, I mean, based off the little bit I've seen of the comics and or just general representation of Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe's performance really wowed me. I think he, in a way, kind of is well, not I don't want to say carries, but he definitely is one of the standouts in the Spider-Man movies, um, regardless of Tobey Maguire and all that stuff. But yeah, really nailed the complete insaneness of the character as well as like the human side. I think he does a great job showing the contrast between the two, basically two different characters, but in the same character itself. Um, I just don't think that anybody could really. I can't picture anybody else playing that role as perfect as he did. Uh, and the laugh, you just can't get better than the Green Goblin laugh. It's iconic, everything about it, and of course that's like his. I would think that's his most famous role too. Um, Not that that had any kind of influence, but I just really like this um, portray on the character, and I think he nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely considered him as well. I only wanted to have one pick if I was gonna do,
Yeah,
the Spider-Man trilogy. So I went with J.K. Simmons, but yeah, Willem Dafoe is awesome.
fair enough. Yeah,
Awesome villain. All right, moving forward, I'm going to go. I wanted to make sure that I got at least one book, one
sure.
character from a book.
Oh,
And
I know who you're gonna pick.
I
Okay,
think I'm
yeah,
not sure you do.
I
Maybe you
do.
will. But I think that there's a pretty clear franchise that really just nailed its casting basically across the board. So there's a lot of people I can choose for this, but the Harry Potter franchise really did just feel like it
Hmm,
made a lot of the right choices with who to put into these roles. And I
fair
could
enough.
take so many different people from the core trio of Harry, Ron, and Hermione. I think they're all great. I think Hagrid's great.
Hmm,
Dumbledore is awesome, even having to recast him after the original actor passed away.
hmm,
So many others that I can mention, but let me just get to the point. The
yeah.
one I'm going to point out the most is Alan Rickman as Severus Snape. I think he brings such an interesting angle to the character, which he seems to do with all of his characters. Um,
Hmm,
really portraying the sort of vitriol he has for Harry, but not necessarily like in a dark way, but just like because of his bitterness. I guess it's more so his bitterness
right.
towards his
Hmm,
relationship to Harry's mom and Harry's father as well, and kind of laying out the foundation of that in the early movies, and then as that's developed, he just becomes so much more of an interesting character. With his,
yeah.
he, he has his hands like from the beginning in so many different
Hmm,
major characters' plot lines, and he never completely steals the stage except for when it's absolutely necessary. But you always appreciate and recognize his presence whenever he's involved in any moments, and he has some of the most impactful
right.
moments by the end.
Oh
And
yeah.
from the first couple movies and first couple books, you don't realize exactly how much of a main player he ends up becoming, but he really does. And Alan Rickman just delivers all the emotions so well. And I think when he that it's the
Hmm,
same thing with all of these actors, but I think with him especially, now whenever I think of Severus Snape, it's him that pops into
fair
my head.
enough.
It's his performance. It's what
Yeah,
he did with the character. And it's been a while since I read the book, so I can't say for sure exactly how accurate it is to the character, but
sure.
he really made it his own, and I think he was
Hmm,
amazing. So that's my second pick.
fair enough. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen those movies, and to be frank, I wasn't the biggest fan of them as a kid. It might have changed in my older years, but we'll see. Yeah, I guess we'll go to my next one, which is actually the inspiration of how this idea all started. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy in the live action Scooby Doo movies.
Yeah.
They were on Netflix one day, and I was like, hey, it's been a while since I've seen these. I kind of want to watch it. And then the first, pretty sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure the first people on screen were Scooby and Shaggy. And no, it was Daphne. Never mind. But when they were on screen, I was like, oh, I'm watching Scooby and Shaggy. Like, right there. Like, well, especially Matthew Lillard, because Scooby is animated. But um, as far as Shaggy, I was like, wow, I am watching a real life Shaggy. Like, Matthew Lillard just absolutely nailed the portrayal. Um, Not to mention his voice. I thought his voice was like identical to the animated series and or just like pretty sure just books too, but like based off the series of which I used to watch as a kid. um, yeah, just the whole um, charisma of the character itself. Like you have the appetite, of course, both of them have. You have the I won't like clumsiness of the character, but also like you've he adds more to the character personally and puts it out there in these movies. But even though he adds like certain elements of himself into it, you still feel like this is Shaggy. Like every element, I think is just perfect. And yeah, I know that they remade a movie. I don't want to watch it because I'm like, oh no, that's not Shaggy. Like it has to be Matthew Lillard. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. But, yeah.
Yeah, he really just blended right into what that character was
Hmm.
originally. And I think that's another example of I think the cast across the board was really well done, I think, for that
Hmm.
for those
Yeah.
movies. So yeah, I definitely agree. That would have been in my top three as well if I hadn't already known that you
Right.
had taken it. All right. So for my third and final pick for today,
Hmm.
I'm going back to superheroes. Um,
Sure.
and I think it's well deserved. And it is going to have to be Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And
I
I
thought about
think
doing that one. Yeah.
And what's great about him as well is that I forget the exact story of how it happened, but he kind of almost fell into the role a little bit. I think
Mm.
I forget if he initially lost the role or if he wasn't even being considered at first. Like somebody else had the role, but then
Oh,
I
really?
forget the situation of what happened. But he was kind
Hmm.
of a later in the process kind of bring him in and see what happens. And it turns out, I mean, he is so perfect. The
Oh,
physicality,
yeah.
the
Hmm.
energy, especially to be able to bring
Sure.
that to all of those X-Men movies and then even doing Deadpool and Wolverine more recently, coming back and
Mm.
he's still got it. He's always
Oh,
had
yeah.
it. And on top of that, he's a very, very good dramatic actor as well, which again is
Hmm.
incredible to run into because sometimes with the superheroes, maybe you're just looking for somebody who fits the physical or visual part
Right.
and less
Hmm.
so about actually hitting the more dramatic moments, but he can nail that every time. And I think that's been on display for decades at this point,
Yes.
and he is just so perfect and really brings more to the character than, just what's in the comics.
Hmm. Fair enough. Yeah, that was definitely up for consideration for me, but obviously I chose not to. So, for my third and final pick, this one surprised me because I actually forgot about this performance and character itself. But Zachary Gordon as Greg Heffley in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies. I forget when and how I thought of this, but I think I saw no, I saw a clip of what's his name, Rowley, like his friend. I saw a clip of Rowley when he starts
Some
just
meme.
yeah, when he starts just like breaking down when Greg Heffley's dad asked him like, "Hey, Rowley, how you doing?" And then he just starts crying. I was like, "Oh, that's funny," but and I was like, "Oh wait, I remember." So I rewatched it. I was like, "I remember Zachary Gordon being like really good as Greg Heffley." Um, I read those books as a kid. I was actually a big fan of those books. I didn't read a lot of books, but that was one that I liked. Um, yeah, I think he just completely nailed the character, like the awkwardness, like the wanting to be more, but like tries to do it and just like fumbles in every which way. Um, doesn't have a lot of friends, all that stuff. But like the character itself, yeah, just absolutely nails it. When you think about Greg Heffley, even just a name, I feel like a lot of people, at least our generation, um, doesn't think immediately of the book series, but more so the performance of Zachary Gordon. Even if they don't even know his name, they're like, oh yeah. Like if you showed a picture of Zachary Gordon, they're like, oh, Greg Heffley. Like he's so iconic as that character. Um, obviously, it's something he has forever, but yeah, love that portrayal. Every portrayal, but definitely stood out.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Yeah, that one didn't immediately come to mind to me, but now that you
Mm,
mention it, yeah, that's a really good one. And it's always tough, and I guess I'll be concluding here with this
sure.
little spiel. But it's always tough when you're taking an existing character. It's so easy for people to turn against you, like before the
A little
project
bit.
even
Yeah.
starts, you know. And so, really, just commending all these people who step into these roles, even the people not named here, of course. I mean, I think we see this basically all the time with movies. I mean, more recently with like Supergirl, I think that was
Mm,
a big thing about how the character looks and all that, which sometimes occasionally I agree, a lot of times I disagree. I think that was
all right.
ridiculous with the Supergirl situation and also with the
Well,
Harry Potter
yeah.
show that's going to be coming out. So
Yeah,
it's
we'll see
always
about that. Yeah.
yeah, it's always tough to ride the line between okay, having the look, having the talent,
Mm,
actually on camera and
mm,
really honoring what the character already was, rather than doing
Well,
something
yeah.
original.
If I may say real quickly for Supergirl, I have not seen it. I actually don't plan on seeing it, but because it's not really my thing. But I believe that this version of Supergirl is a um, extra side version of Supergirl. Like obviously, there's the main who Supergirl is, but of course, these kinds of comics go into different versions and or multiverses. So like this is, I think her portrayal is another version of Supergirl, which I think is why people are like, oh, this is not who Supergirl is, but it technically is. It's just a different version.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And even with the Odyssey, which is coming up very soon, which I can't wait for still. That's another one
Mm,
where there's been talks
mm,
about how the
yeah.
characters look and how they're speaking and whatever. And that again, movie hasn't even come out yet. So I think that's mostly seems like a bunch of nonsense. I mean, we'll see how it actually comes out,
We'll
but
see.
we're gonna have to be patient with that. But yeah, so there's our choices for the best casting of movie characters that originally came from animated shows, books, or real life. We didn't have an example of that
Yeah.
here, but
Mhm.
those are some of our picks. What are some of yours? Let us know down in the comments, and we will see you guys for the next one take. Thank you so much.